raw sensuality. Raw. Just
Neat, huh?
never ever met a woman like that in my life.
Wow.
Well, you know, some people are sexy, cute, pretty,
Yeah.
combination. She's raw. And I don't mean in her action or it
Just something about her.
yeah. Sure, we're going to be so brilliant. Ah! You better get a room, my dear.
Huh?
Get a room.
Get a room.
Yeah.
For what?
The hospital for a day or two.
Oh, I've got one.
You okay?
I've got one booked.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Injections just
You know
wearing
Dom
off.
DeLuise loves you.
I love Dom DeLuise.
He does a stint occasionally in the Twin Cities at the Carlton Celebrity Room, comes out and spends a lot of time at the house eating.
Ah!
And
You know, you seen lately?
Oh, yes. Yes, and it must have been very painful
It was
for
very
him.
painful.
Very
And he's
painful.
going to keep it off.
He should. He'll live longer. I've seen Carol on a lot of sitcom stuff lately. She did Love Boat, and she was...
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
working more and more.
That's
old
good.
Karen, yeah. Hi,
All
guys.
right.
Oh, are you still here?
Tape's rolling.
Tape's rolling.
I'm very sorry. And we get 10. 5, thank you. Okay. It is a joy to walk into a room and see that face and say hello to Sally Field. It is glorious to
Thank
see you.
It's glorious to see you, too, I must say. It's
Thank
always
you.
nice to see you.
Thank you. You've presented us with another wonderful role, Absence of Malice, and it occurred to me as I was watching it that you are among the few women who have managed to find roles for women that are of strength and integrity.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I think there's some other ones that are doing it well. But I hope I'm one of them. And I keep trying.
Integrity is a word that a lot of people apply to you. As you well know, you were so successful when you were so young, Sally. When success comes that young in things like Gidget and The Flying Nun, is it easy to deal with, or did it rush in very quickly?
You know, I don't know. I think what I do is, and I never planned it to be this way, but I think somehow you accept things, your mind accepts things without telling you it's doing it. And I have a way of not feeling things that I'm not capable of feeling at the time. I have a kind of Scarlett O'Hara way of looking at life. My mind doesn't tell me it's doing it, but it sort of says, you cannot compute this at the time, Field, wait till tomorrow. And I have a sort of, I'll feel it tomorrow lifestyle. And I would realize a year later, it would hit me, you know, like, wow, I really felt a lot then. Thank goodness it's passed. And when I first went into television, it was, the first thing I ever did was my own television series. And I don't remember feeling terrified. I didn't feel terrified. I should have felt terrified. I didn't feel it. And I should have felt overwhelmed with all the things that were happening to me, but I didn't. And I think it happened to me later. And I was sort of sorting things out later on when I was able to deal with it and without, you know, going, well, I did go, but later.
One of the things you did later, after those initial successes, was to say to yourself and to the industry, I'm not going to be Gidget and the Flying Nun for the rest of my life. And that meant that you simply had to back off and move away from the business, at least out of the public eye, so that people would have time to let the memory of what Sally Field had done subside. That took courage. I mean, nobody faces unemployment easily.
No, it's not easy, especially when you have 2 children. And I look back on that time now, and it really wasn't quite so noble as it sounds. The properties that were being offered to me were really awful. I mean, they were really awful. I was really taking the easier way out. It would have been much harder to do something called a galloping gourmet than it would be to go and work at the Actors Studio or study at David Craig's, or the kinds of things that I was doing. And I did a lot of things that were hard at that time, you know, selling your house and doing those things that, you know, that hurt you on a sort of monetary level. I don't want to give up my house, you know. And then you look at it and say, it's just a house. It's not me. It isn't what I am. Just because I can't go and, you know, buy a new pair of pants or something, that's not me. That will pass. And, you know, those silly things, when it got to the level of really being worried about money, I mean, really being worried that the house payment of the new house that I bought, I wouldn't have the money for it. I mean, really fundamental. Now I'm getting scared. And that took a little while to get to me because I had a little bit of money saved, and I did have a house that I could sell, and I did have some things. But by that time, which took, I guess, about 2.5 years or something, I did have an opportunity presented itself in the form of a film that I certainly didn't make any money on, but it started to open the door for me a little bit and change things, and it was very, very gradual after that. But I don't think it was quite as noble and all of that. It seemed like I had no other alternative. It just seemed like that's what I had to do.
Some people, when they make a choice as big as that was, to back off for a while, even though you insist it wasn't noble, know that when they make that choice, it's to this end. Did you always know that you had that talent in you and you were going to make them recognize it and you'd walk off that stage with an Academy Award someday?
No. Part of me, I always knew I was an actress. And I would hide it when I was young because you don't want to be conceited. That's one of the things you don't want to be, at least when I grew up. And you grew up too. I mean, that was one of the words they applied to people, conceited. And so I would hide the fact that I thought I had something special, some place in me that was special. Like everybody has a place that's special, and you hope you don't bury it or let it go away or get awry in your life, whatever it is. And mine was acting. It's where I felt joyous about myself. And I always felt that. And I felt it was my responsibility to take care of it, to hone it, to respect it, to pat it, to pamper it, to teach it, to let it grow. And I would always do that. I would study and help it along. I always knew I had that, but I never knew I never knew for sure that I would get the opportunity to use it.
But you did. You did Sybil. And the acclaims were extraordinary. Then, of course, Norma Rae. Lots of us, Sally, watch the Academy Awards every year and just vicariously close our eyes and think, I wonder what is that moment when you grab that statue and it's yours? What is that?
Well, it's almost hard to describe. For me, it's twofold things. First thing is, as I walked up there with a kind of stamping, almost sort of strident feeling to my walk, which maybe fit the role that I had won it for, but nonetheless I had a feeling of, I did it. By God, I did it. I did it. And I just felt so proud of myself that I in some ways did something that for that moment I felt the feelings that I didn't allow myself to feel for so many years. That I put the Scarlett O'Hara thing, I'll feel it tomorrow. Well, that was tomorrow, and I felt it as I was walking up there. All those voices that said, you can't do it. It can't be done. You can't make that transfer. Nobody can, especially not you. And I felt them. I heard them all, and I said, I did it. By God, I did it. And then, as you get up on the stage, and I had that feeling, you also have the feeling of how many people are watching you. I mean, how many countries are tuned in. And if little things are coming in, like if I fall down now, I'm never going to speak to you again. You know, that kind of thing of wondering if my underwear are good enough if I fall down. You know, this is just all sorts of things coming in on your head.
When you say lots of countries are watching, I mean, lots of countries watch all of the films you make. You have the opportunity, as the actress in them, to sit in a theater and watch them as well. When you've watched some of those things, what have the reactions been? When you watch Norma Rae, were you able to say, Sally, good girl?
Well, actually,
honestly,
I'll tell you honestly. I said, my mother and I watched it in a screening room by ourselves. I went, that's it? That's it? That's what I did? That's all the work I did? There was a feeling of flatness about it. But I always feel that way about my work. And I felt the same way about Absence of Malice. That's it? What? You expect that to carry a film? I mean, that's it there. But behind that, I do know that I feel that I, except maybe momentary little pieces of time within the film, that I felt I wasn't quite where I should have been. Generally, I feel I accomplished the kind of thing I set out to do. But sometimes I question, did I set out to do something that mattered? I mean, was I complicated enough in my thinking.
The word mattered. Do critics matter? They've talked about you and about your work for so many years through all your transitions. Do they matter?
There's several answers. Yes. That's one answer. They do matter. They matter in that no matter what any actor ever says to you, how hard they try to ignore them, how hard they try to look the other way, or how pleased they are when they read them when they're good, it hurts your feelings. It hurts your feelings, it hurts your toes, it hurts your brain, it hurts everything when they say it stinks. And sometimes you agree with them. Sometimes you see what they say is partially right. Sometimes you think they're totally wrong in what they're observing. And sometimes you see that their critique is bad. I mean, it's just plain old bad critique. They're seeing it from not what I picture being a good critique, or what I think a critic should be doing. I think that this person is not good at his job, that I was better at my job than he was at his job, or whatever, or she. But it does matter. It matters to me. It matters whether they like it or not. But I do have the ability to shrug. If they don't, that's all right. It hurts, I guess, ultimately it hurts a lot more if the people don't like it. I mean, there's only a handful of critics. If they don't like it, I'm sorry, it hurts my feelings. But it matters more that the people like it, because what difference does it make if you act and act and act and no one goes to see it?
Before we run out of time, people like me have spent all these years describing Sally Field. If you could describe you as you'd like, how would it be?
Golly sakes alive. Complicated, I think. Complicated. Gee, right this minute, confused. I think ambitious, motherly, lonesome, and complete.
You are a very big star. Is it all it's cracked up to be?
Yeah!
Good. Good. It is a joy to see you.
Thank you.
Absence of malice is nice, but we come to expect that from you. Thank you very much. Good things, always.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back. Sally Field starring in Absence of Malice. Stay with us, won't you? That's nice. Yes.
Do you need a cutaway?
I do.
Okay.
Complete. It's nice. Tell me something wonderful for 30 seconds while I nod inanely.
I will. I'll tell you something.
One more to your left.
You know what I'm going to do? I mean, this is what I'm going to, these people in here have heard this a couple of times. You guys can snore if you like. Yesterday, I agreed to do something that's real scary to me, but then again, I've done that before. I'm going to do a live broadcast. I mean live, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're on, like Playhouse 90. Like this Playhouse used to be on December 21st, of a pure surprise new play that we're going to broadcast from USC, a play called, I forgot, All the Way Home, from a book called Death in the Family. William Hurt and I are going to do it. Isn't that scary?
Oh.
Just for the sheer thrill of
I
acting.
think we have enough.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Stop tape.
I don't know.